You're listening to the Doctor Is In podcast, brought to you by MartinClinic.com. During the episode, the doctors share a lot of information. As awesome as the info may be, it is not intended to diagnose, cure, treat, or prevent any disease. It's strictly for informational purposes.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to look at a few studies this morning, and I will pontificate on them. Okay, a couple of studies came out this week that I want to talk about. One of them was a study showing that omega-3 was every bit as effective as medication as far as ADD and ADHD. Okay, so omega-3 is every bit as effective as medication in this was done on young people for ADD and ADHD. Now listen. You guys know me, so I'm going to repeat it again. Your brain is primarily made up of what? Fat. So, you need to eat fat in order to keep your brain healthy. Now, who on God's earth wants to outlive their brain? It's the biggest fear in society today is I'm to outlive my brain. Of course, that's the last thing that we want, right? We see people with dementia or Alzheimer's, maybe even in our family, and it's a sad state of affairs, okay? It's a sad state. And we don't want to burden anybody like our family because we've got dementia or we've got Alzheimer's. But you got to take care of your brain even as kids. And so the best thing that you can do for a child is to give them omega-3. Now let me tell you what the sources are, okay? So there is omega-3 in the animal kingdom, and we'll talk about that. There's omega-3 in the plant kingdom, okay? So if you have flax seeds, for example, or hemp seeds, any kind of seed has omega-3. Here's the problem with plants, okay? Not that they're not good for you, so don't misquote me what I'm saying here, okay? You get ALA. It's a shorter chain fatty acid. Nothing wrong with it. It's very good for you, okay? You guys know me. I love flax seeds, okay? I recommend flax seeds, especially because flax seeds have lignans, and lignans, L-I-G-N-A-N-S, lignans, decrease estrogen. That's why I like flax seeds. I recommend it. In Dr. Martin's Perfect Smoothie, I have flax seeds, okay? I like them. It's part of my recipe. But when it comes to your brain, you need long chain fatty acids. The longer, the more bioavailable it is, and your brain is actually mostly up of what we call DHA. What is DHA? DHA is the long chain fatty acids. So what this study showed is that when they gave them, children, omega-3 from fish, then they're giving them DHA and EPA. And I read the study, they didn't even give them a high dose of DHA. They just gave them a dose every day of fish oil. And these kids did better because what happens, okay, is children today, just generally, they don't eat meat or they don't eat red meat. They don't eat enough fish. They live on junk food. Not all kids, but a lot of kids. I know your kids don't and your grandchildren don't because you listen. And you guys know what's good for your kids and your grandchildren. But generally the population that live on cereals, they live on pizza, they live on toast, they live on jam, they live on Kraft dinner, and there's no omega-3 in any of that stuff, okay? So the study shows that with ADD and ADHD, it's incredible what happens, okay? It's incredible what happens. So here's my protocol in the office. When I get a child into the office, here's my protocol for any kind of behavioral issue, whether it's cognitive, it's ADD, ADHD, or it is autism. Here is Dr. Martin's protocol. And I tell you, I will put my results up against anybody's because I go to the root issue of what's happening with these children. Okay? So what do? Number one, I even teach the child nutrition. Children are very smart, by the way. They're very smart. And if you can, sometimes parents have a hard time getting through to them, but I talk to them like, are you always in trouble at school? Yeah. Do you want to stop getting into trouble at school? Yeah. Well, it's important what you start your day with. So no more cereal. Have bacon and eggs. Can you do that? Yeah, I like bacon and eggs. Well, go for bacon and eggs. Okay? So I changed their diet. I don't eliminate sugar. I would love to eliminate sugar, but come on, you have to be reasonable. You're never going to get a child, well, generally, to completely eliminate sugar. Okay? So as I'm teaching my young patient, I'm trying to get the parents' attention. Okay? Now listen, your little child with ADD or ADHD is the canary in the coal mine. Okay? Because a lot of people get away with a crappy diet for a certain period of time and they're not bouncing off the walls. But your child has problems. One, they are very low in omega-3, especially DHA. They don't have enough of it in their diet. So I'm going to help with the supplement, but secondly, you need to help that child, and that child needs to understand that they can't eat like the rest of the family, or they can't eat like everybody else. They just can't. They don't get away with it. Their brain, soon as sugar gets in there, the brain is on overload. And I say, well, you got to cut that back. And one of the most important meals for a child is the first meal for them. You're never going to get a child to do intermittent fasting. They need to eat. A lot of these children, by the way, are hypoglycemic. They have low blood sugar. And that's why they crave sugar so much. But that's the worst fuel that you can give them. Okay? So what I do is I teach that little child, and I don't care if they're 5 years old. They're smart. They can understand. I said, look, you can't eat like everybody else. You can treat yourself, and I'm not saying you never can have ice cream or anything like that if it's your birthday. But you have to understand that you do not do well with sugar in particular. And you've got to have more protein in your diet. And so diet is number one. And then number two, I get them on 3 to 4 supplements. The first one is high DHA oil. It is gold for the brain. High DHA oil. I don't care how old you are. You need DHA. Why? Because DHA makes up the vast majority, over 60% of your brain is made up of that healthy DHA. And DHA oil is not found in the vegetable kingdom. It isn't in there. There's ALA, but there's no DHA or EPA, and DHA is the long one. It's the one that your brain needs to work properly. Do you got it? Don't fool yourself. If you're a vegetarian or you're a vegan, if you don't eat fish, I eat fish every day in capsules. You know what has the highest source? You guys should know this. What has the highest source of DHA? I'm waiting for the answer. It's not fish, it's steak. And I had a steak last night. And was it ever good? But did you know that? Grass-fed beef has more DHA and omega-3 than fish does. Even though fish, you know me, fish is, I wish I liked fish, but I don't. I tell people I have an allergy to it if I'm invited out. I'm lying. I don't have an allergy to it. I just don't like it. Have a steak, ladies. Do you want to? Do you want to save your brain? Do you want to have a brain when you're 75 and 80? And look where Alzheimer's is today. In 50s. Even some in the 40s. They're losing their brain. I said, it's because you're eating fat-free. How stupid is that? Quit eating fat-free. Oh, Dr. Martin, I eat fat-free yogurt. Well, that's the stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. Fat don't make you fat. You guys know that. And fat, when you eat it, goes to your brain. You need that. Kids need that. Kids are eating fat-free. They're carboholics, living on sugar and very little healthy fat. The only fat that they're eating are vegetable oils because they fry their chicken nuggets in that, right? They're vegetable oils. And that gives you omega-6. That doesn't give you omega-3. And omega-6, if it's in the right ratio to omega-3, there's no problem. But as I've explained to you many times in the past, our ratios are between 18 to 1 for omega-6 to omega-3 to 27 to 1. Kids are 27 to 1 on average. Omega-6. Because that's what they cook all their food in. If you go to the restaurant, they're using the vegetable oils like canola oil and safflower and all these oils. They are terrible oils because they are omega-6 and we get too much omega-6. Okay? So do you got it? Steak, hamburger. Give your kids chili. Yeah. It's got a lot of omega-3 in it. And leave the bread alone. No, but guys, seriously, when I saw this study, I was so impressed that the scientific community is finally waking up to these things. And they realize, like, you get a kid, and you can understand teachers at school, okay? They get a kid, and the kid can't sit still for 5 seconds. And the teacher, you know what, sedate them, you know? Sedate them. And so doctors, because they don't know anything about nutrition, instead of referring those patients to me, and I would fix them in a short period of time, what do? They sedate them. They put them on medication. And they sedate the kids. That to me, that's child abuse. That's not getting at the root of the problem. The root of the problem is the neurotransmitters in the brain. And these kids are canaries in the coal mine. And their brain is very fragile. And they're hypoglycemic. You have to change their diet. And here's another one. Okay, so I put them on the high DHA. I recommend for children about 4 to 6 grams if they have ADD. If they're slightly autistic, they need high levels of DHA. That's why I love DHA so much. That's why you hear me talk about it so much. And then secondly, I fix their gut. Because I've never seen a case of ADD or ADHD or autism or any brain spectrum disorder in kids where they didn't have leaky gut, leaky brain every time. You have to put these children on probiotics. So the study didn't say, other studies have said that. It's exactly right. So you don't have to put them on 100 things, but you have to get their diet changed because they're not going to do well unless you change their diet. You can sedate the life out of them, but that will not fix it. That will just create other problems. You know, Ritalin and all these things that they've been giving these kids for years, I tell you, I screamed blue murder when those things came out in the 1980s. I screamed blue murder. I couldn't believe it. You mean you're not going at the root cause of these things? You're just going to sedate these children? What kind of medicine is that? But the pharmaceutical industry, they got to stick their nose in there. And you got to put we put them on Ritalin, we put them on other sedation. It's craziness. Why not look at the problem? Okay, so that was study number 1. Oh, by the way, I didn't finish my protocol. I put them on the diet, obviously, low carb, cut their sugars out as much as I can do it, as much as the parents can do it. And I know kids are smart, and when they start feeling better and their brain works better, you know what? They buy into it. It's amazing, okay? I see people in the grocery store in my hometown, and they said, Dr. Martin, you saw me when I was a kid. Now they're an adult, right? And they recognize me. I don't know how they recognize me. I don't look like I used to. But they know who I am, I guess, maybe because I was on TV for years or whatever. But anyway, Dr. Martin, you changed my diet when I was a kid. It really helped. Well, thank you very much. I'm always happy to get good, positive feedback. And good for you. I said, I hope you're still taking care of yourself. Oh, yeah. And man, oh man, I live on eggs, meat, and cheese like you told me to. Well, there you go. Good for you. Okay. So, and then like probiotics, high DHA. One of the things I use in the office too, of course, you guys know me, is Navital. Pine bark extract crosses the blood-brain barrier. Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous for ADD and ADHD. So that was one of the studies. Let me just look at the other one. I just want to pontificate on this for a minute. I can't get over my Florida friends and neighbors, how they stay out of the sun, the so-called boogeyman. Well, of course, for you folks in Canada that haven't seen the sun for 2 months, hello. In Florida, okay, and I'm sure it's the same in Arizona or whatever, I think it's 320 something days a year or more they see the sun, right? But they don't go in the sun. They're scared of the sun. Rosie and I walk every day. We go for a walk down here. We love walking, okay? And people, they're walking. They got these hats that are 2 feet on either side, right? They're covering everything. They're covered. They wear long sleeve shirts and pants. They cover everything. And they probably put sunscreen on too. Ooh, I go crazy. People that get deadly cancers, melanoma, are people that work indoors or never get the sun. Now, I'm not telling you to burn it. I'm not telling you to do that. So don't misquote me. All I'm saying is that all-cause mortality is decreased when your levels of vitamin D are good. Everything. Vitamin D is not a vitamin. Vitamin D is a hormone. We call it a vitamin, but it's not a vitamin. It's a hormone. Your body doesn't work without vitamin D. Your immune system doesn't work without vitamin D. It doesn't. Your immune system gets charged up with vitamin D. Do you know that vitamin D is one of the greatest anti-inflammatories that you can take? Vitamin D. And when the sun is out, go in the sun, because 20 minutes in the sun gives you 10,000 international units. But it's got to come into your arms and it's got to come into your legs. That's how you. So look, you got to expose your skin to it. So I'm not saying you have to get butt naked, but if I could do it, if I could bring the sun back with me to Canada, I would do it. And I would go into every senior home and I would roll them out, even in their wheelchairs if they were in them, and I would make them sunbathe every day. Because vitamin D is good. It is a hormone that your body cannot operate without. And so it's not the boogeyman. The sun isn't the boogeyman, guys. The sun is good for you. And you don't need a lot of it. You need 20 minutes of it. Now, when I'm going to the beach today. Okay? I'm going to the beach today. I'm going to cover up after I get my skin's very used to it. I can easily sit in the sun for an hour, and I'll wear a hat, and I will get into the shade once, because I don't want to burn either. Like, burning's not good for you. But the sun in Florida, they're all scared skinny. You know who's the worst generation? The worst generation is my generation, okay? What were we called? The baby boomers? We're the worst generation because we took all the boogeymans that there is and we took that hook, line, and sinker. We're the boogeyman people, my generation. You talk to people my generation, I go outside here, okay, at my condo, and I see my neighbors. They're sitting in the shade. They're scared of the sun. Almost all of them. They're scared skinny of it. They never get in the sun. I said, you're in Florida. You don't go in the sun? You're in Florida? No. Oh, no. This is my generation. Crazy. That's my generation. Because whatever they say, well, meat's no good for you. Eggs will give you cholesterol. Bacon will give you cholesterol. That's no good for you. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. My generation. Okay? Oh, I got to get my cholesterol down. I can't get in the sun very much. That's no good for you. You can't eat fat. Fat's no good for you. Yes, it is. And you know what? None of your other hormones work properly without good levels of vitamin D. And do you know what? 80 to 90% of the population in North America have low levels of vitamin D. And taking calcium, that's another one of my generation. Oh, calcium, because I need it in my bones. Well, it doesn't get to your bones. Eat your calcium and take vitamin D, because then it'll go to your bones with vitamin K2. Where do you get vitamin K2? You guys know this. In cheese and butter. That'll give you vitamin K2. And that will take the calcium out of your blood vessels and put it into your bones and your teeth where it belongs. Where it belongs. So I tweeted that this week about the sun because I go around and I watch people. The only people on the beach are Canadians. In November, the only people on the beach, all the Americans, it's cold. Oh, you don't know what cold is until, you know what, guys? You know what another thing bugs me? I'm just going to tell you, climate change. Because I don't know. Florida is still Florida, and Sudbury is still Sudbury, as far as I know. Oh, it drives me crazy. We're getting winter in November in Sudbury. It started in November. And it ain't going to end till the end of March and April, and maybe even past that. True or false? True. I'm right, and everybody else is wrong. Okay. I got to do this one, although I think, you know what, I think I'm going to save this one because I can do a whole thing on this. I'm just going to read you the headline and then I'll answer a couple of your questions. This is, and I'm going to do a podcast on this. The life expectancy, now this is for the United States, but Canada is the same, is the lowest of all 36 countries in Japan, New Zealand, Australia, blah, blah, blah. United States. And yet they spend more money here. And in Canada, we spend more money on healthcare than anywhere else in the world. Canadians and Americans, we spend more money on disease care, but the life expectancy is going down. You know what I say? we're not getting the bang for our buck. But I'll make that into another one, okay? So let me just recap a couple of things here. You want to keep your brain? Think fat. Think fat. When you had fat, when you see a steak, eat the fat. The best cuts of steak have lots of fat. Don't get the trim. You know what I see people at the grocery store and they're getting, oh, give me that lean, give me the lean meat. Oh, that drives me crazy. That's not as good. You know, Eskimos don't get heart disease, okay? They eat blubber all the time. You know what they do with lean meat? They feed their dogs that. They eat the organs. They eat the fat. They eat the blubber. And on autopsy, yeah, they die because the polar bears eat them. They don't die from heart disease. And they don't die from cancer. They don't die from those things. Their life expectancy is not as high as it could be because of they don't have the, you know, like antibiotics can save your life if you get an infection, right? Or the polar bears eat them. But as far as ground beef, regular, keep the fat in it. It's better for you. Fat doesn't make you fat. Fat doesn't give you cholesterol, or at least it doesn't give you the bad fats, which is triglycerides. That comes from sugars. It's sugar that destroys your blood vessels. It's sugar that destroys your brain. So eat fat. Never eat a fat-free diet. That's the craziest thing possible. You really need to take care of yourself when it comes to that. So take care of your brain. And the best fat is called DHA. It is found in grass-fed. Get your beef. Get your hamburger. I love steak. I love roast beef. I love hamburger. It's the bun that will kill you, not the hamburger. So have 2 hamburgers. I always tell people, do you like hamburgers? Oh, I do. I love hamburgers. I said, well, have 2 of them. And then put cheese on top. And then put bacon on top of that. Do you like that? Oh, geez, I love that. Well, that's good for you. Leave the bun. So take a knife and fork or wrap it up. Wrap up your hamburger with cheese. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, love you guys. Share this with your friends. If you have any questions, send them off. We'd love to hear from you.
You've reached the end of another Doctor is In podcast with your hosts, Dr. Martin Jr. and Sr. Be sure to catch our next episode, and thanks for listening.